Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to yet another edition of Three Live Canes. As always, I am Chris. There's the box that says so. That box says Bill at Canes Legacy. Soon there's going to be a box down there that has Steve-O in it. And at the bottom of that box will be another box that says Steve-O at 365 Canes Info. I'm here to talk to you guys about another week in Miami Hurricanes football. CF Cane fan. Vacation was great. We just finished a drive back from Disney World today. That clean 16-hour drive.
Drove?
Yeah, we do. We always drive. It's not that bad, honestly. It's really not that bad. We just find a different random place to stay, usually somewhere like in between from New Jersey and Orlando, and then we just stop overnight. This time we stopped in Durham, North Carolina, right outside Duke University. Going down there, we stopped in Savannah, Georgia. So nice little towns. Anyway, but so I've made it back to the wonderful state of New Jersey. I live 20 minutes away from SeaWorld. I mean, we were right there. We drove by SeaWorld and we were getting in. But anyway, thank you for your concern, Cane fan. My family had a great time. Much like Miami Hurricane football, seemingly having a great time so far during fall camp, getting ready for the start of the season. Bill's been doing a great job with the countdown. What's up, Michael Becker? What's going on, everybody? Canes 305, how you doing? Canes 305 said, "What's H?" I know you're just to do more to that. I just wanted to put it up there. Fishing fan in Miami. Hey guys, beat Notre Dame, of course, as always. See if Cane fan with a question. I'm gonna put on a star. I'll get to that in a minute. He says last year's UM versus Louisville game is being replayed on ESPNU. ESPNU or AC Network was one of the channels I got in the Disney hotel room. So while the family was getting all ready to go and like getting all Disneyed up, I was throwing on random old ACC games, including Miami versus Florida State from last year, which is delightful to watch. But anyway, we're here to talk to you guys about fall practice so far. Next week is our big prediction show. The week after that is our Notre Dame week. So for this episode of the show, we thought we would go position by position, talk about what's going on in practice, if anything crazy is going on, give a little projected depth chart, and then hit on maybe a player or two, depending on, if Steve-O and Bill agree, players that might be the ones to watch that could surprise you and find their way into the top of the depth chart, find their way into star-type roles. You've seen some names pop up over the past couple weeks, and if you guys haven't been paying attention to CanesInSight, what D-Money's been posting about the practices, the scrimmage that's gone on so far, it's, pretty good idea to go over and check some of that stuff out. Some of those names you'll see there, some of the names that we'll say here, obviously. But before we get to all that stuff, Bill, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I feel like the offseason's pretty much over. I think as of tomorrow, we'll be 17 days away from game day. College football starts, next Thursday, I believe, or one of those third. But either way, it's very soon. Yeah. Who needs details? But it's telling lies season is pretty much here. And I'm here to tell the truth. So that season prediction show looms large.
Yeah, Bill's negativity and me and Steve-O's I think 3 or 4 year tradition of just undefeated for the hell of it. Why not? We'll keep that tradition alive. Steve will be with us very soon. He's finished up over at the field. Bill and I are here to start off this conversation. Thank you guys for joining us for the show. Make sure you jump in the comments. This is Real Live Canes.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Irvin's got it. Irvin's free.
Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, and he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players. Step up in big games.
Hurt, dog. Don't ask me if I'm all right. Hell no. Husker up to the races. That's what they needed.
That's Ricks going up for Thorpe, and it's intercepted near midfield. Sean Taylor's got another one.
Who else?
Who else but Sean? Who else but us? Here on a Wednesday night to talk about Miami Hurricanes football. Hopefully you guys have been as excited about what's going on here as we have, the possibility of Miami having another big season on the heels of last year. Odds are starting to turn in Miami's favor. I know that there was a lot of doubts here and there throughout the course of the offseason. But, all conversation about Carson Beck has been he's looked tremendous. Is he going to be Cam Ward? I mean, no one's going to be Cam Ward, but a guy that's running the offense efficiently. The offense has found some young playmakers stepping up pretty consistently. That's one of the things I've seen most from the accounts. And the defense has been good. Like Mike Becker saying himself, heard good stuff about our defense. I mean, if you were to rate last year's offense and defense, we're going probably a 10 on offense. Maybe some people would say a 9, but a 10 most likely.
Number one offense in the country. It's a 10.
It's a 10. And then on defense, a 1, maybe a 2 if you're like Steve-O.
We'll split the difference.
So find some place in the middle. So Miami's offense can be a 9 or an 8. And that defense can get up to like a 7. We're looking at an improved team from last year. But we'll get into all the little position groups as we work our way through. Mike Becker giving a prediction. Our offense is good. I got ND 17, Miami 38. Love to see it. Holding them down to I know Steve-O is not a big fan of their backs, but holding them down to that number would be great. We'll talk more about that in a couple of weeks. But let's go into this team and look position by position. We know we've got a chance to talk about some of the position groups, like who's going to be a surprise, who's going to do this, who's going to do that in terms of groups overall. But I want to go into the nitty gritty of some of these position groups and talk about, kind of where we see things as we are right now. Could even grade it. Maybe even do that, like a little bit of a grade and then like a potential grade, like what's the ceiling, what's the floor, kind of for how this could go. Start off with the quarterbacks because that's as easy money as you're going to get in terms of the conversations we're going to have. So Carson Beck obviously sitting at the top of the depth chart. No one will debate, no one will question. The more of the debate comes with who's number 2 and who's number 3 and like who might leave and who might say and who else might go. But really the whole conversation kind of starts and ends with Carson Beck, because if Carson Beck isn't there or isn't healthy or isn't playing at a high level, then Miami's offense will not go where it needs to go. Bill?
Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway so far, 2 takeaways, is one, just the health, right? That was one of the big question marks about this team, and it still is. I was listening to a national podcast today, and they still brought it up that he's coming off Andy Staples called that a catastrophic injury. I think it might have been a little hyperbole, but he's fully healthy, not limited in any way. Is the number 1, and then number 2 is just there's a really good article that came out. I believe it was yesterday. I don't even know the site, but basically it was just all about how Beck is adjusting to the offense and how he's taking control with switching coverages and protections and really just garnering the trust of the offensive line and the offense as a whole. So he's an experienced guy, right? Playing a lot of football. He knows his stuff. We're kind of talking, ceiling floor. We have a really high floor, with the quarterback position with Beck. I don't think we'll get anywhere. I think lowest, right? Worst case, we probably get above average quarterback play, which you sign up for.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about your floor, right? I mean, we've seen him, like, see if we had the 2023 Beck. We've seen Carson Beck be really, really good, right? So we know what he can be. And if that's an A, not quite an A+, but an A minus quarterback, like whatever you want to like specify it to, that 2023 version of it, we've seen it on the field. So we're not grasping at straws like a Notre Dame might be, of 2 guys battling it out. Neither of them has been like a top level starter. They've, guys with height, but guys without the experience of being the guy, right? So the idea that Miami has a guy that has a tremendous amount of experience. Yes, there's questions about the health for going from last year, but realistically, like you said, he should be 100% healthy. No limitations in practice, no concerns from the staff, no concerns from the team at all. We should know what that's going to be like. And on a top end player, a top end is an A quarterback, and in a national landscape where people are like, oh, the best quarterback in the country is what, Nussmeier? You did like Drew Aller?
Don't ever say Drew.
Like, who's the best quarterback in the country? Arch Manning, who hasn't started, against any significant opponents. Like John Mateer, who may or may not be gambling on his own games. Like who's the best quarterback in the country right now?
Sellers, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like, we don't have a best quarterback in the country. So who's to say that an A for this year wouldn't be amongst the best, very best. So I would say that the comfort level I have with a Carson Beck is far beyond what I think the national media would have you think we should be saying about Carson Beck, because they're focused on what happened last year in a like fundamentally kind of disastrous offense, for Georgia, way below what their standard is compared to what we have for them this year, which is a very QB friendly system with weapons. I know there's going to be question marks. We'll talk about that, but with weapons for sure.
It's kind of crazy to think you probably feel better about quarterback now than we did at this point last year, because Cam Ward wasn't Cam Ward yet.
Yeah,
we knew there was talent. We didn't know what it was going to be, what it was going to look like, until that first snap came. But I think with Beck, I don't want to think the game manager, like a high level game manager, where is he gonna be making those crazy rollout type throws? No, but I think it's going to look different. But can that offense with him be just as efficient as last year's offense? With probably a heavier dose of run game and a little bit quicker passing, maybe a little less explosive, but maybe more accurate, more kind of those check downs, right? Kind of that was the one, I guess, nitpick that you could say about Cam Ward was, he went, big play hunting and it worked more often than not, but, there was opportunities for, easy yardage. So,
yeah.
And, like you said, easy, or not easy, but QB friendly offense, compared to kind of what Georgia has been doing. So there's questions about the offense, but not
right. Like you take the scale of like Cam Ward over here, right? And then you have a guy like Shedeur Sanders or someone else over on the other side. Cam Ward, your ultimate like gambler, guy takes chances, and Shedeur, who quite often, took the safe, the easy plays, the simple catches, the screens, and the check downs just to make sure like the offense was moving. And you find Carson Beck somewhere in the middle of that. I think we're happy. Even if he's closer to Shedeur, that's still what we're looking for as far as like winning games. Just move the ball, run the ball. We have an offensive line that is going to be as good as we've had in a decade, just by the like we know what these players are. So we know they're all really, really good. So this offensive line, just trust in them, move the ball efficiently, and don't make big mistakes. And the offense will score points because they're going to move the ball down the field. And to help the defense out, hold on to the ball for long periods of time, which I think everyone's going to love to see. Garcia Kane fan asked, can Beck be a first-round pick? I don't see why not. I mean, it's quarterback position, right? Like, look at some of the dudes that have been first-round picks in recent years that, maybe weren't. I mean, Cam Ward obviously is an easy one to talk about this most recent year, but like there's been Bo Nix was a top 11 pick, whatever he was. Like JJ McCarthy proved himself enough after a lot of questions in that last year to move up and to be a top 10 pick. Michael Penix, Jackson Dart was a first round pick. Like all these guys are first round pick. I don't see reason. And there's always going to be a commodity when it comes to quarterbacks in the NFL. So if a team likes them, they'll go get them.
I think if he, cuts down on the interceptions, right? He had a, rough, what was that, 3 or 4 games last year, right? If he just has a reasonable amount of interceptions, I think the experience, right? I think he's going to, this is getting out of ourselves with the draft, but, he's going to impress, in those interviews, those workouts, because he is such, an experienced guy. And then you put him in an offense that is proven, right? I think Cam Ward's going to have a good, rookie year as well. That kind of factors into it that, hey, Miami is the place to go get developed as a quarterback, and you want quarterbacks from, Miami, right? Under that Mario Cristobal, right? Justin Herbert, Cam Ward.
It's been working. It's been working, and this Cam Ward, like what everyone said so far at Titans camp, looks like Cam Ward is very much at the top of the list in terms of guys to look out for as like an offensive rookie of the year. Yeah, I know he's the quarterback, number 1 overall pick and all that kind of stuff, but a dude that just commands respect and attention every time he walks in on the field. So can't hurt to have him. And just sliding over in the backfield, the offensive backfield to the running back position. Another group of guys where we can confidently say we know pretty much what they are, if anything at a baseline. You have Fletcher now healthy. You have Jordan Lyle, who is, sky's the limit, and you have a stable of backs behind them. And that's like every day that goes by, we get more and more information about like RB3, RB4, to make us more and more excited about them and their potential. Whereas we went into this like, okay, we got 2 guys that we really love. Now it's looking like we may have 3, 4 guys that this offense could eventually build around.
Marty Brown, I think, is the X factor, right? Coming from the FCS level, right? He was a North Dakota State kid.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think those 3 spots are locked in, and I think it was a couple of weeks ago where D Money was just talking about Marty Brown and how much how impressive he's been. He's obviously not going to be the guy this year, but going into future years. He may be that number 1 guy, but I think you feel really good about, having, 3 backs that are, capable of not just handling the load, but raising the bar, of that position, right? Lyle can hit the home runs. We kind of know what Fletcher is. Marty Brown's kind of an X factor, and then, Gerard Pringle, probably get some carries as well. So it's a room that has talent, it has depth, and it has experience. So, that's, I think we're going to be relying on that group quite a bit.
Yeah. And having those guys and having Fletcher back, I think is so important, because you saw what happened whenever Fletcher was out last year. Like, such a big component of the offense is a guy with size, with physicality, with some speed, a guy that's, really been around the talk of Miami Hurricane fans for a really long time, getting a local kid to come in and play at the position at such a high level. Now having him back as one of like the veteran leaders, and then having so many young guys behind him, like you said, to push him, push the other ones around, and have a guy like Marty Brown come in. No one really talked about him as, oh my gosh, this is the guy we needed at the running back position. We lost so many dudes. But then, all the talk is that he looks like an NFL player, looks like an NFL running back, in terms of his physical status and and how he just approached the things that he's gotten to Miami. So the opportunity to have that guy be the 3rd back behind even a skilled kid like Lyle, like what was a question for a lot of people, now with an offensive line like we have, I don't see any reason why this wouldn't be a strength. So I would say, like, right now, I'd be like B+ in terms of like confidence in it, but I think A+ potential when you marry them with what the line can be.
I was in the B+, A- range, and what gets you to that AA+ range is you need to be able to hit home runs. We had one of the best yards per carry average last year. That great, but I think the elite running teams, they're dangerous, right? Those keep defensive coordinators up at night. So Lyle's kind of that dude. What would it surprise you if Lyle had the most carries next year?
It would surprise me, just because I would imagine Fletcher's going to get a lot of those carries where it's like just kind of establish the run game type stuff. Even if it's like, we know, all right, 3rd and 1, Fletcher, like those kinds of things, like where Fletcher's going to get a lot of those carries, and then you save like a Lyle for more big play opportunities. Now, if we're talking overall touches, and I don't know if Fletcher's going to be as significant in the run in the pass game as a Lyle would be, then maybe we're getting a little bit tighter in that regard. But I would say Fletcher's going to have the most carries, but Lyle may end up with similar yardage when you factor in his yards per carry, because he's going to have a couple big ones that Fletcher probably won't.
I just took a quick look. Fletch had 112 carries last year. Lyle had 54.
And I would say
Martinez isn't on this page, so it's hard I can't tell.
I would say just comfortably double both of those, and then we're right around, I think, where each would be. I think Fletcher's going to be in that 220, and Lyle's probably going to be in like the 120-ish, 130 range when it's all said and done. Which I think is good numbers for both of them. Maybe I'm a little bit high on Fletcher's numbers. Maybe it's going to be a little bit more towards like 190 to 2, but I don't know. I feel like running the ball is going to be a staple of this entire season. So we're feeling good about the running back room. I'll hold off on the receivers for now, because I feel like doing it without Steve-O would do like an injustice to all of us. So we'll just kick it over to the offensive line, where, I don't know how you rated anything right now but an A+, right? Like, this is as good of a line as we've had since Jeff Stoutland was here coaching offensive linemen. One of the greatest offensive line coaches in the history of the sport. This is an offensive line where we have 2 guys that could be first-round picks. We have another 2 guys that are very, easily draftable players. You have a guy in McCoy at left guard, or potentially a Sampson, or potentially a Rodriguez, whatever it is. We have 3 guys that I think any of us would be really happy and comfortable with taking a starting position, with likelihood of it being McCoy. So we have depth there as well. So any doubts about this offensive line, Bill, or are you as bullish on it as everybody else seems to be?
There's no doubts. I think it's just a matter of how good is it? Is it top 3 good? Is it top 10 good? That's kind of see what that next step in development really looks like. Francis going into year 3. This is his money year. He's gone. Nez Cooper, who was the lowest rated dude in Mario's transition class, he ends up being essentially a 4-year starter. McCoy's played a lot. Brockermeyer, transferred in, as is tradition for the Miami center position. And then, Markel Bell, what does he become, right? Is he good? Is he above average? Is he great? So that's kind of where my eyes are, right? The physical, stature and, the traits are, next level, but, does he put it all together? And he showed it pretty well last year, right? Maybe a little bit of a rough start coming in, but he really by the end, right? Sliding Rivers inside, so Bell can get snaps. I think is going to pay pretty big dividends this year.
Yeah, I think with Bell, how they utilized it at times was kind of confusing. Like, you figure all the positions, making moves on the offensive line in the middle of games, and just kind of getting rotation. It is probably the spot where you'd like that to happen the least, but the ability to have them kick Rivers in and slide him out there to tackle and get him those snaps that, and as the season went on, like he looked like a starter. He carried himself like a starter. He played like a starter. And at his size, like, you don't have to be the most technically sound player in the world to be great at your positioning in college football. We saw dudes in the past, like the kid that went to Cleveland, that was playing at Ohio State, DeJuan Jones.
Oh yeah, the big guy. I thought you were talking about the old IMG kid that was 6'8". I think he went to Minnesota, Falale or something.
Oh yeah, Daniel Falale, right? They went to the Ravens and a bunch of other teams. Yeah, like a guy, there's these guys that if you're massive, if you're that huge of a human being, like, you can be a quality starter. Now, Markel Bell is that and more, and he's learning from the best offensive line coaches, like, in the country. Whether it's you're just your offensive line coach himself, or the fact you have a head coach that, also specializes in the position. CF came in. Do we have a good rotation on the offensive line? Like, do we have guys that can step in? Yes, I would say so. Are we good? Like, for example, in the interior, like we have with the opportunity for, I don't know if Ryan Rodriguez is as well versed at the center position as he was a couple of years ago, but maybe him. Obviously, a young guy behind him who could slide in there and potentially start his trajectory as a multi-year starter at center. And I think the question at tackle, obviously, if you lose either tackle, it's going to be a blow. But there was even some stuff from D Money that Sampson maybe starting to get it going. Like who's to say that can't still be a thing? With the training that he's needed coming out of this rando school in the middle of Connecticut, So I'd be as comfortable with it as anybody else is. Like, who's comfortable throwing their backup left tackle out there across the country? Yeah,
not many. There is depth, obviously. If your frontline starters go down, there's going to be a drop off. But the whole goal, right, is if injuries do happen, it doesn't go from strength to disaster, right?
And you could even kick, like, who knows? Maybe
shuffling too.
Yeah. Maybe McCoy could kick the tackle. If a tackle were to go out, he's a guy that came in. Everyone was saying tackle. Who's to say that can't still be a thing? So and then it's easier to replace a guard, because then you could just slide a Rodriguez in there to guard, and you're good to go, and you roll through.
I do think. Well, I'm curious to see, if there is actual, like, what the rotation looks like, if they will do that to get, some of these guys reps, kind of like what we saw last year. But I don't think it would be anywhere near that degree. I think that would probably be kind of silly to an extent, unless Samson really is that dude all of a sudden. But I think that front five, you kind of put them up against pretty much anyone in the country, and there could be a conversation about it. So again, where does it end up? Is it top 10, top 5, top 3? Where does it end up? But this group is probably it is the strength of the team, right? I don't even know if there's a debate for that.
Can't be. Like this is supposed to be one. Samson at guard with Bell is insane. Like whoever wins the starting left guard job, and I do think there's going to be some, like you said, Bill, probably not rotation like there was this year, because I don't think we need to, and I don't think with the way that our season starts there should be any question marks about how that's going to go. But the possibility of there being some movement at left guard where we find someone is there. But if someone outright wins this left guard job, like whoever it is will have earned it in a way that I think will cement them as being the dude. Like it's not, if you'll know right away from the start, you'll either see rotations early or you'll see one guy play the first 4 games and not come out at all. Like there's not going to be a play against the 2 best opponents and then start to play with it a little bit, because I think that, this coaching staff needs to have like that stability there, because like you said, this is the strength of the team. Well, we'll see. Don't find a guy. It is a great problem to have for sure. Having too many dudes versus some of the stuff we've seen in recent years. Starting a true freshman, 2-star player, like we had 8 years ago, 6 years ago, whatever that was.
Poor Zion Nelson.
Poor Zion. Where's Zion now? You went to SMU?
I want to say so. Hold on.
I think he did.
Let's get to Google out. SMU. Yep.
I mean, the SMU depth chart.
He transferred there in January.
SMU depth chart.
He's listed as 6'5", 316, so he's up about 100 pounds from when he started for us.
Zion Nelson is currently listed as the backup right tackle on the depth chart I found.
I mean, good for him to continue that education. It doesn't. Football probably isn't the long-term answer with the health issues, concerns, but get that education, young man.
That's right. That's right. Get the education. And it'll educate you guys on the defensive line. Nah, felt good. Anyway, switch over to the defensive side of the ball. You have a defensive, talk about the dichotomy of the offensive line and the defensive line back to back, right? And Bill, I'll explain what that word means in a minute. But you have an offensive line which is as solid and steady and strong of a group as you could possibly have. And we said no question marks. Like it's an A+ now, and it's going to be an A+. Like the floor is an A+. Like we just keep talking about it, right? Now flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. Arguably, you could say this defensive line should be miles ahead of the offensive line when you look at the pedigree, right? Like the pedigree on the offense is kind of like, all right, you have a right tackle who's a super elite blue chipper, right? But then you have a right guard who was a low-level recruit, a center who's a transfer who was already at a big school, went lower, and now it's coming back up, right? You have a left guard who kind of bounced back and forth technically between tackle and guard. We didn't know exactly what he was. And you have a left tackle who's a JUCO guy. Pedigree, not great. Product great. Defensive line, pedigree all over the place. Like you have 5 stars, you have blue chippers, you have elite defensive tackles, you have elite edge rushers, you have elite guys all over the place. So you look at that defensive line and you're saying to yourself, this should be elite. Kind of like when you look at Steve-O.
What's goody?
Did you hear that, Steve-O? You hear my little intro for you?
I seen you. I appreciate it.
All right, Steve-O. What we're doing is simple. Everyone say hi to Steve-O. Bill, you can say hi.
My bad, y'all boys. I was late from the park.
Oh, don't worry, Steve. You're doing
In
actual
the future,
good
Miami
work.
Hurricane, but we're going to keep that cool. He got a lot of time.
Very good. Very
But,
good.
I'll be laying that foundation.
That's right. Steve-O's out there with like the 9-year-olds, like giving them Miami hats and stuff, saying, "Hey, you didn't get this from me."
12 you.
12. There we go. Still good. Even closer. But one of the things we're talking about, we're going through all the position groups, Steve. We left receiver. We'll come back to it like at the end. But just talking about what we're feeling about it right now with all that's gone on through camp. And then, like, what's our ceiling? Like, what do we feel right now? Then what's the ceiling?
Yeah, I got the nuggies. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
All right, well, before we move past the offense thing, because we're switching over to defense, but before we get into that, we'll go to receivers in a second. But anything in general about the offense from camp that you've heard or seen, like, that makes you say, like, all right, there's some things that are really, like,
completely taking out skill position. The offensive line is deep. I think we can go 8 deep. I think the light has clicked for Pancake, and he is fighting for a job. This is not a gimme to Matthew McCoy, which, to be honest, going into the season, I thought it was going to be. I thought Matthew McCoy played at a higher level last year that earned him the right to be, the incoming starter, bro. So out of left field, I know obviously y'all said no receivers, but I'll take running backs out of it as well because, there's crazy things going on in that running back room and people are really excited about. And it's because of play, like, we're like 7, 8. I think we're 8 deep at O-line, like legit. Like that might be my biggest takeaway is this might be the best unit that Mario Cristobal has put together under his roster. Like under the Mario Cristobal era, this last 3 years, this might be the best position unit he's going to turn out. So that has me really excited, to be honest with you, because even if Carson Beck is half as good as we want him to be, which he's going to be better. But even if he's as half as good as we want him to be, bro, we're going far.
Now, the idea of having that group, because we even talked about the running back room, which you can talk about in a second too, Steve-O, and we said, now, guys that we feel really good about in the running back room, now you could just go ahead and feel great about them when you match them up with an offensive line like what we have coming in, like, right? Like, so guys, this guy's going to be good. Then you give him an offensive line, which could be one of the best 2 or 3 in the country. Like, then automatically you feel great about those guys. Like, how much is of our success going to be built on the offensive line and Mario just saying, hey, go out there, run the ball, and just dominate these people?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. That's why I led with that because, I mean, bro, like whether we want to run, pass, play action, just whatever Coach Shannon Dawson wants to do, having the time to be able to do it or having the guys who could push D lineman off a spot is just perfect. Like you could literally be so balanced. Last year, we were a little bit more pass heavy. Let's be real. I think this year, if we were up on Syracuse 21-0, Carson Beck might not attempt a pass. Like we're gonna hand that ball off to Mark Fletcher, Jordan Lyle, and one of the 2 speedsters, Pringle or Hellcat. Somebody's gonna get their feet wet. So I think that's gonna be the difference with this team. I think the O-line is deep, and they're gonna run the ball a lot.
Here's some other things popped up here. One of them, Josh Moore off the field. Don't sleep on Pringle. And a 4 Hurricanes saying, and what name for Steve-O? Chance Robinson.
I don't do this or nothing, bro. Like I've been trying to tell y'all, it's like, fans go give up on Chance because he's been hurt. Is literally his whole year that he was here. He's fully cleared. Yeah, he was hurt in spring. So I just telling people like, bro, like Chance is just physically ready. He is crisp. He is pristine. I see him at the park the other day. He looks good. Like I knew he was gonna have good camp. Like I'm not surprised at all. He's from a very, very particular county that is known for turning out very, very good receivers. You know what I'm saying? And then people forget how Ohio State tried to I'm not going to say what they offered, but it was a stupendous offer to try to flip Chance.
Stupendous.
Was that Seminole County? What county is that, Steve?
Yeah, man, I'm telling you. Chance looks like a Terminator. I'm not gonna brag on, but yeah, my Bow Boy doing good. Good.
Confidence level at the receiver position, Steve-O.
I've been confident because I know a lot of these young cats could do, but I understand from a fan's perspective. All you've seen is high school tape. You don't see these guys working out. You don't see some of their practice tape or see them in practice. So I get it. Like I don't blame any fan for saying, "Yo, Chance, you got to show me on the field." Or Night Car, you got to show me on the field. Josh Moore, I'm here. I love the buzz we're hearing, but you got to show me on the field. I don't blame no fans for saying that way, bro. Because until they do it on Saturday with you on their helmet, I feel you. But you could see when someone has the traits. I mean, Chance is probably the most like physically ready to play receiver that we've recruited in a while. Like just physique wise, he would have played last year. I think Sam Brown would have fell his way a little bit further down if we were just being fair. If Chance was healthy and went through the whole year, he was literally just the most physically ready receiver we've got in a while. You know what I'm saying? Like complete, because he's pristine. He's clean with his routes. He is really good technician. So we got Josh Moore, crazy athlete, crazy ability, still cleaning up some of the things when it comes to route running, things like that. Chance was ready to go out the gate. So I'm not surprised that he's doing what he's doing, just being healthy. Mally, yeah, I mean, it's going crazy. I'm loving the competition. It's dog eat dog right now, bro. Love the way Ray's responded, bro. Ray could have easily be number 3 on the depth chart right now, bro. And he's fighting for number 1, solid number 2 right now, in my opinion.
Steve, I feel the energy you have right now about this group. Like,
yeah, I was working out. I wasn't just training. I was running. It was a good little session. We were doing top of the routes. Love that. You gotta make sure your footwork right.
So now where we are, Steve-O, like let's look at that group, and we'll say to ourselves, all right, so we have guys that we trust, guys that we know a little bit, guys that have played a little bit last year, guys that transferred in with some experience, young guys coming up. Like, if you had to say, like, at the end of the season, the 3 receivers that will have had the biggest impact. That doesn't have to be starters. It could be whatever. Play it how you want to play it. The 3 receivers that will have the biggest impact on Miami winning games. What would you say?
Depending on JoJo's health, but
let's say he's healthy.
Let's say I would say CJ. I think CJ is going to go ballistic this year. I mean, there's something about carrying yourself the way he's carrying himself. I do not see him I just don't look at him and say, hey, yo, he's flagging. Like, I think he going to walk the walk, my boy. I just love his preparation, and not a little bit, he's going to get a lot more opportunities than he did at LSU. So I think he's going to cash in, to be honest with you. I'm expecting no less than an 800-yard year for CJ. If he has less than 800, I'm looking at it like, yo, what happened? It must have been some TVD drop-off in like 4 games. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think he's going to be dynamite, to be honest with you. So he's locked in for me at number 1. JoJo, and then Mally. I think Mally starts at slot. We'll see what Ray says about that, and I'm loving it because why wouldn't you want a guy's? I think Ray could probably be our most explosive receiver with the ball in his hands. Why wouldn't you want that guy, given everything he has now as a third-year player, fighting for that playing time? I mean, it's working out good. I would say that would be my 3 with JoJo. And then you're fighting for 4th is crazy. You got some talented guys, talented cats going for that 4th spot. You got Chance, you got Nye, who came back from the portal. You got the transfer Marion, who was more of a gadget player at BYU, but sometimes that's just when someone thinks of you like that, then that's what they put you in. Sometimes you get boxed in. So maybe he came to Miami to open up that, and prove that he could be something different, kind of like what Tyreek did. Georgia boxed him in at that nickel. Nah, you're gonna be a nickel. You're gonna be a safety. Man was a freaking like rookie or like defensive rookie of the year, at corner. So I don't jump too heavy on stuff on other schools because you don't know how they viewed them or how that roster is constructed. You know what I'm saying? Right. So I think that we're doing well. I think it's gonna pop.
Bill, what do you think? What are your top 3 guys you think in terms of impact?
Top 3. JoJo. I mean, I probably just repeating what Steve-O said. JoJo, CJ, and I mean, whoever the slot receiver is, they're going to eat because that's what Shannon does in his offense. So whether it's Tony or whether it's Ray, it's one of those guys. But I think this group probably has the biggest range. As we've been kind of going through each position group, that this could be a really high end group, or it could potentially fall short of expectations. I think the floor is a lot lower here just because there is so much unknown. You really only have one guy that in CJ Daniels that has legit experience and that you probably trust right now, right? Everyone's still got a lot to prove, which could be a good thing, but this system is friendly, right? If it's quarterback friendly, it's going to be wide receiver friendly. The slot position is gonna put up numbers regardless, but I think probably probably after Florida, right? I think we'll probably have a pretty good idea of where this group is and where they're going.
What up, Joe? Happy belated, my boy.
It's Joe Williams. How you doing, Joe?
It's good, fam. I better see you, Notre Dame, fam. I assume I'll see you, but we'll see. We hit our little breakfast spot.
So
I might see you in a couple weeks, man. Let your wife know. You know the spot. We there.
It really is a couple
Yeah.
weeks, Theo. It's pretty crazy. I
Yeah.
know you probably missed the schedule, but I mean, you know what next week is. Season prediction show.
Yeah, yeah, 12-0. Let's go. I'm
Season
pissed up right now, so I'm ready for a 12-0 rant. And I can tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why our third string D tackle is the reason why we win a natty. I'm ready to go. I'm juiced up.
Best show of the year. But real quick, some guys talking about the tight end group in there too. Can't forget them, obviously. So I mean, Lofton is Lofton. CF Caveman has a ton of T's. Look behind Lofton. I mean, you're hearing some rumblings about some of the other tight ends. You have Lofton as this young kid with all this massive potential, and you have some experienced guys behind him that maybe not experienced as Hurricanes, but experienced playing the game of football and college football. So, here, Steve, I'll go to you first. Like, what's your thoughts on the tight end group behind Lofton?
I mean, y'all got to know Coach Whittle and Coach Mirabal got the blocking game on smash. So you got to know the tight ends are going to be really involved in the running game. That's a foregone conclusion. Are they just strictly in there to block like a McCormick situation? No. You're going to see more Arroyo. You're going to see, more, type of vibes. But I like Scott. I like him a lot. I think he could fly. I like what he could do. I think the mix between him and Lofton is going to be perfect. I think Lofton, pound for pound, is probably top 4, top 5 skilled players on the team. Just being honest, I think he's probably top 5. I would say top 3. Not even just riding what the kids say nowadays. But he's probably pound for pound. I think he could play linebacker for us and start. Or be that type of guy where if he came in and played linebacker, he would have made an impact at linebacker. Like, he is a legit football player. I remember him when he scored those 4 touchdowns versus Miami Central, texting my boy, seen him the next weekend we going to Vegas. Like, what happened? Bro, you ain't have to tackle that boy. Don't talk to me, Steve. Like, what? Like, yeah, man. Like, he's nice, but I like Scott. I like the abilities. And, Jackson Carver coming off the ACL. We don't really know how he's doing, but he was developing nicely in the background. Just guys like that with 6'5" frames that can come in and make an impact as a blocker, but have the ability to catch passes and, aren't slow. Like, they're actually running. They're clocking. You know what I'm saying? So I'm vibing with the tight end room. Am I expecting crazy production? No, but I'm expecting nice production. I think Lofton's going to have an impact, whether that's crazy year where he puts the whole world on the map, or just a regular year. I think there will still be balance there, because there's no way we just stop doing 12 tight end 12 sets. There's going to be 2 tight ends on the field multiple times. They're going to have opportunities to make plays. I like Scott. I'm saying it again, and again and again. White boy can fly. It makes me happy.
Makes Dunston terrified. So what are your thoughts on that tight end group?
I think I don't know if the numbers will be as flashy. I know Beck does like throwing to the tight ends, but just the offense as a whole, right? Probably going to be a little bit more ball control, right? We're more focused on the run game, which takes away some passing attempts here and there. So I do think it'll be an efficient group. I'm curious to see what we do with Lofton, if we do anything special with him in terms of kind of like those kind of gadget type plays, design plays specifically to get him the ball. And then, Alex Bowman, however you say his name, kind of that red zone guy, like he was at Tulane.
Yep.
Yeah, he was a big time red zone threat there, and that's kind of one of the questions I had about the team or the offense, I guess, is kind of what we do in the red zone, right? Receivers are a little bit of an unknown, but we do have, a tight end that's what he essentially specializes in is catching touchdowns. So, wouldn't surprise me if, Bauman, led the group with, in touchdowns, but, Lofton led it, with receptions and yards. So I think we'll kind of have a little bit of mix of everything with that group.
like now you look at this, like you mentioned what Lofton can be, and as SB1 kind of half jokingly said, it could be RB1, but like in terms of like skill set and all that, like you have him to utilize. You have a guy like Ray whose speed is different, him to utilize. You have Keelan Marion, like his abilities to utilize. How do these guys all fit in with what we had last year? Because last year we didn't have guys as versatile in terms, like Jamie Martinez was pretty straightforward, right?
You're talking about running backs. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
you almost had me, brother.
No,
you almost had me.
No, but you had now how do you get all these guys involved in different ways? Because we know with the receivers, we have this massive potential there, but how do you find opportunities for all these different skill sets to come into play? Like how do you use a Keelan Marion to maximize him, Steve?
I'm be up in the fourth quarter and you can run the ball. And so everybody gonna touch the rock. If you up, handle your business, play some defense, be up, play with the lead. Then everybody touching that rock. But a guy like Marion, I think obviously he's going to be vying for a return job. He's not really a punt returner in history, but if he wins the punt return job, I ain't going to argue with him. He's an All-American returner. He can return, but hey, if he gets a knack for punt returning, cool. If he doesn't, let one of them young pups like Mally get it. Even Ray, just to throw his name in the ring because he's looking totally different now, but just love to see him get 2 or 3 touches a game, in the return game, and just people think, jet sweeps, quick passes, but yeah, tunnel screens, and also a lot of just vertical routes where he could be scaring the defense even if he's not getting the ball. I think that's going to be a thing that it might be undersold on his verticality. It only takes like one deep ball for him to show that speed, and people start backing up, so even if he's not getting the ball, I think him just being out there, he's going to be utilized, but just manufacturing some touches, tunnel screens, like some of the stuff that when Jacoby didn't get a ball in a while, and you're like, damn, the offense needs a break, something to go. What we do, we threw a tunnel screen to Jacoby, and he take it 10, 15, 20, 30 yards, and you're just like, oh, why haven't we been doing that? So he's going to definitely step into that, and yeah, I just think the vertical threats, like, is he going to be I don't know. He did it before, but you got to win that job, and you got to make some. I remember when Mark Pope won that job, and I was lying to y'all all summer, and I was on the show or something, and I was like, "Oh yeah, Noodles back there, baby, Noodles back there, baby," and it was terrible. That first couple games was nightmares, bro. When him my punt return dog in 2020, so I reserve all punt return rights until I see that boy in live action. My favorite punt returner in history is obviously Hester, but other than that, bro, like even over Jeff, bro. Give me Braxton. Just catch the ball. Just catch the ball. It's legit. Just catch the ball. Because even Jeff, if Jeff never had that Florida game, I would have said Jeff. But just catch the ball.
That's fair. And Bill,
manufacture touches like that.
Yeah, find ways to get the ball. And then same question for Lofton, right? Is he going to play the same way that Elijah Arroyo played? No, obviously not. But how do you find opportunities for him? Do you let him carry the ball sometimes? You let him play more of a traditional, get him in the backfield, have him come out of the backfield, play that kind of route. Does that make sense, Bill? How do you find spots for him?
I'm actually against him taking carries away from the running backs. I know that's kind of like a running joke that he could be like a top running back, but I think it's more hyperbole than anything. But kind of lining up as H-back, if you want to do ends around, kind of things like that. I think he's going to get just touches naturally being, lined up as a tight end. But, if you do want to kind of go into a power, set, maybe with a Bauman and Jackson Carver, or whoever else on the field as on tight end. And then you'll have Fletcher and Lofton in the backfield to do a little play action to the flat, things like that. But yeah, I think we're talking about Keelan Marion. There's a lot of guys that could get touches, but there's only so many touches to go around. So whoever gets these touches has to prove it. It's not charity. We shouldn't just be scheming guys just to get them touches, right? It has to be earned. It has to fit into the game plan. So Lofton's going to get his. I'm pretty confident in that, but I'm curious how creative Dawson will be with that, if at all.
Yeah,
I think he pulls a Dan Enos with the tight end You know,
The tight
Jet,
end
I
reverse on
think
the short
that's
side of the
perfect.
field.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you have that H back and you get that running game going, because our tight ends are used so aggressively in the running game that you can get a DN thinking he's gonna wham block and shoot out, and next thing you know, Lofton's putting his foot up the ground. And he got the alley. Now he going hash numbers sideline. As long as our receiver's doing his job, which he would not be in if he wasn't doing his job blocking, because KB don't play that. But that's the type of stuff we could throw in when Lofton's cracking DNs. Next thing you know, he got that rock, and it's just now he cracking a safety.
Yeah, Birdstone, Sean F. both kind of wondering the same question that what we're talking about. Now, Birdstone did say something in there about Marty Brown, like he's been. Steve, I know you've been very high on him, and we didn't get a chance to talk about the running backs a ton, when you got here. But like overall, anything else on offense you've been hearing like from the practices, scrimmages so far that has you fired up outside of just like what you've already shared?
Dalen, I'm a big Dalen Upshaw guy. I think him being on the outside is perfect. He's very silky smooth, very advanced route runner. I think he's probably, him and Malley are probably the best technical route runners. From the young group. Well, I mean, I guess you can call it. You say JoJo's in that young group, but the freshmen, they're very advanced for their age. And I think Dalen is a guy that you have to watch out, because if some of these guys, like we start scheming these guys open, getting them touches, and they don't perform, they give Dalen a chance, he might take off. I think that's the difference this year. If Jacoby or X had a bad game, you would still feature him the next week, get him as much touches as possible. Sam Brown, unfortunately, we saw that happen. We kept scheming him and getting him the ball, even though he wasn't really deserving it at times. I'm not going to, go on him, but, that's how Horton got an opportunity later. I think it wouldn't have to wait till like week 5.
Right.
I think this is like a week 2, week 3 thing. If we're scheming you up and we're getting these touches and you're not producing, I think there you got a guy like a Dalen who's going to get a chance, or a Chance who's going to, no pun intended, get a chance. But, things like that. Things are a shorter leash this time because it's not really established alpha dogs. We don't have that Restrepo. We don't have that George. Even though Horton didn't show it, they kind of knew what was going on behind the scenes. Like I've been telling you, like his trajectory was going up. So, like, we don't have that. So I think the leash is going to be a lot shorter on the receivers this year, bro. You don't produce, you're going to be on the sideline with coach.
This makes sense because, like you said, we have all these guys. We mentioned a lot of names, but how many of these names can really be up at that upper echelon when it comes to like being there every single game in, game out, making plays? We'll give them opportunities, but we'll see what happens. It's already 10 o'clock, so we're going to go crazy with defense. We'll save a lot of it for next week to position by position talk. But I will kick over there just to hit on some of the bigger topics that like kind of have been coming up, or some of the names that we've been hearing. I know a couple people already talked about Birds on here. Blunt, saying Blunt is a monster. I love too, but Blunt is nasty. Hearing great things. Like Lowe has been, hitting low. Obviously, a really good player. But Blunt talk seems to be a lot of positivity, and he's one of those guys. And Steve, when you came in, one of the things that I was saying was it's funny because you have an offensive line group where the pedigree outside of Francis isn't great, right? The pedigree, like in terms of their recruiting profile, blue chip status, blah, blah, blah.
Him and Pancake.
Yeah, him and Pancake, right. But amongst like those starters, you have a JUCO guy, you have a transfer in, you have a low level, like a lower level recruited Inez Cooper, and you have a 50-50 guy, McCoy, whatever you want to say. But if Sampson obviously was there, then he's there. But defensively, we have, blue chip. Like the pedigree is elite.
Azul.
Yeah, right, the shiny blue.
Yeah, that thing
fancy
is
blue.
Azul. Sapphire
So,
tips, like.
So these now, but the production hasn't been there. But in terms of like confidence and the potential, it's out of this world. And like Blunt is one of the guys on that list of if he's there this year, Scott. If he's there this year, like Low. If he's there this, you know what I mean?
They're like, oh my God, we got 4 5-star recruits at D line, and oh my God, we're starting to hear noise about them. Duh. That's why the SECs and all these big schools stack up on them, because that's how you win games. Like Armando Blunt reclassified, bro. He'd be a true freshman right now coming in if he didn't reclassify. His body, he got a head start on it a year early. His body's finally, maturing. He's 18, for God's sakes, like of course, you're going to start hearing more about his buzz. He started get bigger, grow into his frame, grow just in general. And then you got, the Justin Scotts. I mean, Justin Scott played last year in the DT group that people probably didn't expect to shape out the way it did, with a Moten taking so much playing time and things like that, and a Dean being more serviceable than people thought. So it'll definitely balance out. But yeah, it is blue chip after blue chip after blue chip. In the last 2 classes, we have put 4 or 5 stars on D line. All 4 of them are going to play. Hayden Lowe, Marquise Lightfoot, Justin Scott, and Armando Blunt. They are playing. I think those 4 mixed in with Bain and Mezzi are your guys, and it's either Cole McCarthy or Malik Bryant who's gonna punch their name in, or Booker Pickett as well. But it's gonna be those guys playing, so it's gonna be something happen. I think Dalen's gonna come in a little bit later. It just depends on how DT production goes. I think he's solid, fighting for that 4th, so he'll get rotation snaps. I don't know if he's gonna explode this year, but I've been telling people about Russell. I mean, he's the same type of player that made him the defensive player of the year in Miami. Last person we got that had that accolade was Ruben Bain. Like, why the hell would you not like Dalen Russell?
Yeah, I remember when we got him, you were very high on him, and there was a lot of people like throwing question marks out there, but like you made it very matter of fact. Look at what this kid has done. So yeah, go ahead.
Versus the biggest of teams, bro. Columbus don't duck nobody, bro. Every year you see on Columbus schedule, they playing Northwestern, they playing Central, they playing here, they playing somebody, bro. And when you go and you see him and he's the best player on the field, there's people out there with 4 and 5 stars on the outside, inside. You got TJ Capers next to him outside, bro. And I'm telling you right now, that was a 5-star recruit. TJ liked that, but bro, Dalen was just going crazy. That was a crazy tandem.
So, and Bill goes kind of sound like, pretty much the same idea there. Like the talent we have in this defensive line, we're starting to talk about a little bit before. Is there a name out there that you feel like this is the guy where, like, we know what Bain is capable of? If Bain is an All-American, it's not going to surprise us soul, right? We know what he is. If Moten is out there and he plays really good, we've kind of seen his trajectory. We know he's solid. We know what Mesidor is, but like, who's the guy where you think like this is the guy who's also going to be great amongst that group to get us over and actually say this defensive line is the AA plus they should be?
It has to be Justin Scott. I have concerns and questions about D tackle. I think edge is deep, talented, proven, there's experience, all that good stuff. D tackle is a little bit different. I know we can shuffle guys here and there, but Moten, Blay, Justin Scott are your top 3 defensive tackles. You really don't know after that, what that looks like. Even out of those 3 guys, what does Blay's transition to the P4 look like? What development does Justin Scott have? But he has that 5-star pedigree. If he takes that next step and performs like a 5-star, this defensive line will be one of the best in the country.
Yeah,
because the edge is going to be very, very good. You just need that piece inside. You need that playmaker inside to kind of bring it home.
As our defenses have always been. And I bring it up all the time. We talk about defensive tackles, but like every great Miami defense has had someone at defensive tackle playing great football. In the history of the program, that's the one consistent thing that's always been there. Talk about your 2017, 2018, you had guys that were playing out of their minds, and in some cases far above what people's expectations may have been.
Playing guitar with quarterback's legs. Yeah, we was going crazy on D-line.
Yeah, Jordan McIntosh group, like it's always been there. So hopefully it's there.
And one other point is kind of the whole, right? It's a new scheme, right? And it won't be as drastic, right, from going from D'Onofrio to Manny. But once you kind of are doing things differently, especially up front, what does that look like? Who fits that the best? So there may be a surprise guy that just comes out of nowhere and is that dude, just based on being in the right scheme at the right time. So that's something else to consider.
I can't wait for that to happen. It happens every year.
Heatherman, is a guy that's grew up in a few different under a few different coaches, but you take a lot from maybe what he learned from like a Greg Schiano and, all those defensive lines. Very rarely did they have anybody, even, going back to when he was the defensive coordinator for Miami, like, he had some elite guys, but it was always guys that could attack, could get upfield, could get after the quarterback, even on the interior. Like he wanted attacking players. So that's maybe like your Dylan Russell's, like maybe that's where that guy could fit in because the guy that gets after it.
Quickness and power, being able to pass rush inside. You know how this new modern day of spreads offenses, and now people are starting to say, hey, we're just going to put 2 safeties back and make you run the football again because of all this going on, and how you just negate everything they want to do is penetration at D tackle. It don't matter if you're running a freaking triple option, your Army or your Air Force running a triple option. If you can get penetration at D tackle, take the dive away. Like, you're going to change that game. If you can consistently take that dive away, you're going to change that game. If you're playing freaking Texas Tech and they're going to throw it 60 times, but that quarterback has pressure from the middle consistently, bro, like it's going to tank that offensive attack. You know what I'm saying? So it really does not matter as long as you can get penetration at D tackle. So it doesn't matter what the game plan. Oh, man, we got Clemson this week. We don't need to worry about too much about interior penetration. Like, yeah, all right. Every game, that's what matters. So I'm not doubting it that it's going to be emphasized. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. You need penetration at D tackle. That's what separates all the playoff teams. You see those big boys making those plays. They're like, oh, man, look at them at 6'5", 330, running with the guys to the sideline to sideline. Kirk Herbstreit's drawing him move, and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, that's why. The blue chippers. The Artavius Jones, the guy who catching screens, taking them for 60 yards at 300 pounds. Those guys.
Yeah, that's the difference makers on the interior of like they've been making differences for as long as they've been playing football. So we'll see if we can get some of that going. And like you said, Bill said, like that would be the key to have that elite defensive line group. And then flip over to the back seven. The one point I'd want to talk about, SP1 set it up really nicely. He says we have 3 shutdown corners with Lucas, Ethan O'Connor, and OJ. And even that's leaving off another guy that a lot of people like. That would be one Damari Brown. Damari's been getting a lot of really, really good publicity so far this offseason. Like he's physically as ready to, just a different, it looks different. Looks like a professional, like football player, very much so already. Size, speed, physicality, all that kind of stuff. So like you really got 4. What do you, great. we've had rosters with 4 corners. Period. Like we've been going through that list. Like, who's next? I don't know. A receiver, a good safety, whatever. But how do you make those 4 guys work and more guys behind them? How do you make that cornerback room work? Like, how does that shake out? Like, who goes to nickel? Like, how consistent? Like, what are we doing with that? Bill, I'll go to you first on this one, but then kick it over to Steve-O. Like, how do you make that room work?
I think you really kind of specialize in matchups and who you're going against and what the other team's doing. If it's you need a bigger guy, right, a bigger body at the nickel, you get Damari in there. If you need more of a cover guy, you can bring in like a Charles Brantley too. So there's a lot you can do. But you have options to match up, right? Even just kind of thinking about Notre Dame, they have 2 good wide receivers. As maybe Xavier Lucas, a little bit of a better matchup for Malachi Fields and put OJ on Jaden Greathouse. So I think it'll be more specialized, more matchup driven than just, hey, you're the field corner, you're the boundary corner. That's it. But it's finally good to have options at defensive back. It's been a long time.
A long time. I can't think the last time we had like this level of depth and like talent especially in the corner room.
And you got Scott at nickel too. Like who's proven at a high level that he can play nickel at a high level. Try to play outside corner didn't go as well for him, but proven he could play nickel at a high level. So I just think none of them transferred after spring, so they're about this competition because any one of them could have transferred and probably got a really good gig.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it'll be matchup based and performance based. You getting your ass toasted, That's what I think. It's just shorter leashes this year. Shorter leashes till you can find your dude. This is what happens when this is year 4 and you recruit well. Obviously, the defensive backfield was more of a transfer portal overhaul, but Damari and OJ are guys we recruited in high school that are going to play. So it's a little bit of mix of both, but yeah, this is what happens when you stack years and years and years of talent on top of each other, and somebody don't make a play. Like we were talking about a receiver, you know, you don't have those established dogs out there. We think we have those dogs out here. We got some dogs, but them boys some dogs out there. But we haven't seen it really in the UM uniform. So we'll see how it goes, but I think it's just going to be a shorter leash because there's just too much talent on the depth chart to not give somebody a go if it's just not working. If you're getting toasted, like, bro, there ain't no way you're going to just continuously be out there getting toasted.
Right.
That's dead.
We have an embarrassment of riches back there in the safety position, is something we'll talk about a little bit too. Maybe we get to next week, along with the other stuff we had lined up for. But it's just as a whole, like, let's go as a whole defense right now. Like, what's your confidence level compared to what it was at the end of last year? You know, being an F. Like, what's your confidence level right now, Steve-O, about how this defense is going to click going into this season in just 19 days, 18 days?
I hate these type of questions because I gotta see it to believe it. But
compared to last year, Steve-O,
I just think
that
yeah, throwing out all the extra cute stuff because everybody figured you out on the back, end, I think is just gonna make everybody better. Just legit. Hey, you go rush the passer. I don't care about you stunting inside and holding 2 gaps down because I just want this linebacker from 15 yards out or 10 yards out to be the one to make the sack instead of the D lineman. They're going to be better off that. Is it going to be a major jump? No, statistically, our defense wasn't bad last year except for points allowed and tackling and everything. But when you look at it, they'll still tell you we were a top 25 defense. I'm like, in what nation? And so I think it might not be a statistical improvement where you're like, oh man, yeah, we're a top 25 defense now. I just think, hey, you might see guys run and tackle. Like that might be a thing now. We might like go after the person with the ball and get him to the ground. That might be like something we do at Hard Rock now.
That seems like something you'd want. Seems like something you need to be a good. The idea that I can't believe we won as many games as we did last year with such a god awful.
The number 1 pick. That's why.
Whatever, like they're planning for Cam, they did to double it. They're gonna put a statue up somewhere. Like just get 2, 1 on each side. Just like they make sure everybody comes in. They see Cam. Like he doesn't. It's impossible that he doesn't get enough credit, but he just still does not get enough credit for what he was able to do last year. Damn. Anyway, and hopefully for Cam, the Titans will soon change their uniforms and go to something much cooler, so we can all buy our Cam more Titans jerseys. So anxiously awaiting that. But anyway, before we get out of here with that, Bill, same question, same thought. Like
compared to last year.
Compared to last year,
I'd go with C+ B- range right now.
Which for Bill, I feel like that's something we need to celebrate. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I think there's still legitimate questions right at D tackle, linebacker, safety, maybe to a lesser degree, but new scheme, even just knowing you can probably worst case just say, hey, go play man, and you'll probably be 10 times better than you were last year in pass game, from pass coverage. So I think that the ceiling is obviously much higher than that, but kind of like what Steve was saying, I have to see. I got to see what Heatherman's doing. I got to see how these guys react to the scheme before we go any higher. But potential's there for a pretty big turnaround, in my opinion.
Love to see it. That's hard not to expect it, but again, we'll see with the product on the field. We're just a handful of weeks away here, guys, from the big show, and like we said, next week will be our season prediction show. Also hit on more on the defensive stuff more specifically. But that'll do it for us here tonight. We're taking you guys for an hour and 10 minutes. of Miami Hurricanes football talk, let you guys go to sleep or whatever it is you do after this show is over. But be prepared. We want to see your predictions for next week too. Maybe we'll have Bill jot down some people and throw some names out there. Have a whole season-wide competition. You kind of know how 2 of these might go, and you pretty much know how Bill's is going to go. We'll see where all the fans fit in as well. We get down to it. But before we get out of here, as always, our tradition here, Bill, final thoughts for the people.
I'll use my final thoughts as a disclaimer. I know we have a lot of new folks watching the show now. Maybe they weren't around for the past couple of years when you accurately predict seasons, but you don't have to freak out when I predict a loss. I'm not going to not predicting 12-0. Not predicting 7-5. It'll be somewhere in between that. Not to do any spoilers, but I try and keep it real. That's it.
I feel like a shot, Steve. I feel like a personal attack on the 2 of us.
It's all good. You want to say keeping it real? All right, we'll let it rock. He's been more positive lately than I've ever heard before off season, so I'm riding with it. I'll take it.
He has been a little bit more sunshine and rainbows recently. You missed what I said. He doesn't know what
comes crashing down next week.
Yeah, comes crashing down next week. Let there have been like a negative report about Carson Beck's throwing. So Bill would have been like, "Yeah, we're 6-5."
We're not even playing a full season.
Luke Nickel. Luke Nickel.
We're gonna pull FSU and back out the Clemson game. Like, Bill would have been god awful.
COVID. Pull out because of COVID. If we could play that card again. All right, but Steve, final thoughts for the people.
Let's get it. Be happy. I hope to see you guys at Hard Rock Stadium in 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks. I'm ready to go. I am ready to go. That's Steve, all I got for you.
You got your tickets all lined up, Steve? I mean, you're going to be in Florida tickets. Like 95% of the season. So,
yeah, we got 8 home games this year.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Kind of hitting you over the head with them $200 donations, $250 mandatory donations, but at least we getting our money's worth now. We get 8 games.
Oh, Steve, did you do the that thing where like you put $50 in, they send you jerseys? Did you do that?
No, I didn't. They're not getting another 50 out of me. Love y'all. Love y'all.
I got mine and Bill got his. I got I forget who it was. It was a random kicker who wore number 86. And Kayleon Herbert.
Word, that's crazy. So you got the 57?
57. I thought that was
Broward boy, let's get it.
I thought that was pretty sick. What'd you get?
I got it was a long snapper, but it was the Miami Knights one, which is really good. Something wood. And then I got a green 21 Caleb Spencer jersey.
Yep. Who knows? Maybe it could be something. He just completely turns his career around. On his third school, you never know what could be. But anyway, that'll do it for us. Hopefully you guys got some cool jerseys out there too. I should have asked for that in the chat before. If anybody got any cool jerseys, someone remind me that CF Kane fan, that's your question / comment of the week. What cool jerseys did you guys get from the that sending out all the old stock that we need to clean out these closets stock room exchange that they did? And we'll get some here what you guys have. But anyway, that'll do it for us. Thank you guys for watching the show, tuning in to hear us talk about Miami Hurricanes football. You know, we do the same stuff every week. Excited to do it for you guys. If you've ridden with us for this long, the season being right here, like on the cusp of it, and having yet another year where I didn't do an all-time Miami Hurricanes draft, which has become a running joke of the offseason. Another year down with that never happened. But, we're right there, guys. You've been desperate for football. You get the opportunity to see it. Some of you guys heard the reports about the Miami Dolphins getting absolutely waxed in their joint practices with the Lions this week. So you know that's not going to be something to even bother with this year. So all of your thoughts and prayers are going to be focused in on the Miami Hurricanes football program because the Dolphins are so garbage that they will be playing.
The quarterback got less toes than Dion right now. Like, chill out. Like,
you're one Tua puts his helmet on wrong away from Zach Wilson playing quarterback for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
If Tua hits himself in the face with his mouthpiece too hard, he's going to have another concussion. Zach Wilson going to be in there, pointing up at all the moms in the crowd.
We're going for Quinn. We're banking on that 5-star talent, baby.
we'll see how that goes. Anyway, but yeah, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you guys. We'll be back again next week right here on 3 Live Canes. Have a good week.
This is for the national championship for Nebraska.
He's a stud, that Brown, number 98.
Urban's got it. Urban's free. Slips to the outside, tries to stiff arm, and he couldn't get by Ray Lewis.
Big time players.